Hello and welcome to the Love Talk. When my partner doesn't understand me, this is something that many couples go through when there is lack of communication, not knowing how to communicate, or also not knowing how to listen or, to express oneself. This is what we're going to be covering in today's program. When couples, they have issues communicating and finding hard to understand each other. But before that, this is what's coming up in today's program.
Coming up on today's episode, we have more of your controversial questions answered in this week's Dear Love Talk. Our special guest couple today are Armando and Andrea Agostino, who will share their experiences with today's subject. Plus, of course, they'll be taking their seats to reveal the 3 most annoying things about each other. But before all that, let's go back to Luke and Rafa for this week's Dear Love Talk.
And this is Dear Love Talk time, where we answer to your questions. You can send your questions to questions@lovetalkshow.tv, and we'll be more than glad to answer to any questions you have about relationships. Those of you who are single or married, just keep them coming, okay? Let's go into the first question now. Question number 1, I'm 32 and have never really invested in my love life, as it wasn't my priority. Now, I would like to know how to approach someone. I'm afraid that I might be put down. It's my first attempt.
Okay.
Well, this is perhaps a picture, a scenario in which many people find themselves right now. Having a certain age, not necessarily 30 plus, maybe 40 plus, maybe even late 20s, I don't know, early 20s. But this is a typical thing we come across. People who don't really invest in their love life. They invest in so many other areas, career, I don't know. Some people even invest a lot in friendships, but when it comes to love life, they don't. However, investing in your love life is not necessarily having someone, finding someone. Okay, I'm going to invest in my love life. I need to find someone. No. Investing in your love life means investing in yourself. And many people don't have this understanding. They think that investing their love life is finding someone. I think that's what this person is having an issue right now, approaching someone. Oh, I'm 32 now, how do I approach someone? I mean, okay, I understand, perhaps due to the age or never really thinking about it and doesn't know how to handle perhaps a conversation or a relationship right now. But it's also about investing in yourself, preparing yourself, because if you don't do that, yes, time will pass and you're not going to know how to deal with those things and questions will arise.
And one thing that this person has to have in mind is the fact that she's 32 or he's 32 and never really invested in your love life. That means a lot of things. It doesn't mean only that you're not very good at approaching somebody. It means a lot of things. You never gave attention to your love life. So even if you do approach somebody and that turns into a relationship, you might not be ready to make that relationship work because love was not in your mind and now it is. So like you said, the first thing is you need to invest in yourself. Another thing that I'd say is the person says, I'm afraid I might be put down, turned down, I think it's what they mean. It's a possibility. There is no guarantee. There isn't something that we can tell you that do this and it's sure to work. Remove fear.
Exactly.
I think this is one of the things, especially, you said that they mentioned the age, he mentioned the age. There's fear there.
And the fear is in that person. So you see, it's in you. So you need to get rid of that fear. Meaning, you have to work on yourself first. Okay, you've reached that age, you have to get rid of the fear and you have to go for it, and obviously it might fail, it might not work, but doesn't mean it's the end of the road. Now, to those who have not reached that age yet, you have to start thinking about that, investing in yourself, working on yourself, preparing yourself for that eventual relationship, Otherwise, the time you come where you have a lot of money, perhaps a good career, you have a good job, and you don't know how to, not necessarily no love, but you don't know how to handle a relationship, right? So let's go into the next question.
I cheated on my husband. I love him a lot. Can he ever forgive me? Can our love grow back as it was before? Some people, when listening to this, reading this question, they might think there's a contradiction there, because she says, I cheated on my husband, and then the second thing she says is, I love him a lot. Some people might think that one thing doesn't go with the other, but the truth is, in many relationships, it has happened that there was betrayal. Doesn't necessarily mean there isn't love. Now, her question is, can he ever forgive me? We don't know. It's possible. It's possible. Can our love grow back as it was before? I don't think things can be exactly like it was before. There was a betrayal there. Now you have to work together. You have to work on trust. There's going to be changes.
Instead of thinking about, asking the question, will he ever love me again? That's not the right way to approach. The right way to approach is, okay, what can I do now to regain his trust, his love? I mean, I did something that hurt him. I need to get him back, okay? I mean, maybe he loves me, I don't know, maybe he doesn't love me as before, but let me see what I can do to regain his trust, to show him that I'm ready to work on it. Obviously, on the other hand, we expect him to, if he still loves her, to give her time to prove herself that she changed, that she's not the same anymore.
One other thing before you continue, sorry to interrupt, is that I think the first thing is, because she goes from, I cheated on my husband and I want him back. How can I get him back? Basically, that's just saying. But then there is a problem there. Why did you cheat on him in the first place? So there's problems in this marriage that won't be fixed.
Problem. She has to go to the root of the problem.
It won't be fixed just by getting him back.
Yeah. You may get him back, but you're still the same wife, the same woman. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to do that again, but what you did led to that, or the way you were led to that, pardon me. So then work on that, okay? Don't worry much about getting him back, okay? The question is, what can I do to show him that I'm a different woman, I'm ready to work on this relationship and make things work from now on, okay? And the third and final question is the following. Dear Luke and Rafa, when is the right time to get married?
That's a cute question.
Yeah. Well, we can't say, you have to be a certain age, this and that must happen. From a man's point of view, perhaps you can speak from a woman's point of view. If I'm a man, I'm thinking about getting married, then I have to think, first of all, am I ready to bring a woman under my responsibility? Because I'm going to be the head of a family, I'm going to be the head of a household, I'm going to be the leader, the provider, even if she works. So do I have a foundation already? I'm not only talking about money. Money is one of the things, secure job, business, whatever. Yes, that too. But it's not only being a leader, being the provider, it's not only about providing money or food or shelter. It's about being a proper leader, being ready to handle a family. I don't know if the person is willing to have children, it gets even more complicated. So from a man's point of view is this, okay, am I ready to take her from her parents' house, bring her into my house, and offering her at least the same as her parents are offering, or even better, in terms of protection, financially, and so on and so forth. So, okay, this is where I am, I'm ready for that. Then, I have those things, those attributes or whatever, then I'm ready to get married, to propose and get to know the woman and get married, right? This is perhaps what you can consider being ready for a relationship or for getting married.
I'd say also, what's the right time to get married? I'm gonna say what's not the right time to get married. If you want to get married because life as a single person is difficult, you're very lonely, you're very unhappy, so you want to get married so you find happiness, that's not the right time to get married. If you're not complete in yourself and you want someone to complete you, so there's something or a lot missing in your life, so you want to marry somebody, so that big part of you and that big part of your life is filled, that's not the right time to get married. There isn't a time. If you were dating, let's say, and you don't fit into this description that I just made, you're dating, you've been dating for a while, and you want to know when do I know is the right time to marry this person? There are many things that you need to consider, that you need to know about each other before making that decision. So I think the right time is when you have found out everything about that person, you have seen that person in various situations, you know their reactions, you know their flaws. You don't turn a blind eye to them thinking after I get married I change him, but you see it, and things are good. You know that I found out everything I needed to know about this person, and this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. When both of them come to that conclusion, it's the right time to get married.
You have to analyze a lot of things. So it's about being ready, not only finding someone, but it's about being ready also yourself, ready for that commitment, and seeing that person also ready for that commitment. So I believe that's the way to go. Okay? So send us your questions to questions@lovetalkshow.tv. You can also get more information on our website, lovetalkshow.tv.
Hello YouTube, I am Rafa and this is Luke, and we are the presenters of the Love Talk Show.
And you can subscribe to this channel, like, share, and leave your comments below. Welcome back to the Love Talk, and today's topic is my partner doesn't understand me. And it's a big issue, a big problem among couples nowadays. Lack of understanding, lack of communication. Perhaps due to the lack of communication, there comes the lack of understanding. When there is lack of understanding, couples become impatient toward each other, right? So
many women feel like that although you speak, you try to show in different ways what you want, how you feel, they feel that they are not understood. So I think the couple today will shed a light on how and why that happens.
That's right. And that's why we have here Armando and Andrea Agostini. How are you?
I'm good.
And they're going to share the story with us, because apparently in the first few years of your relationship, of your marriage, there was an issue with communication. That's right. But tell us, first of all, how you guys came to know each other.
So,
and let us see if in the beginning there was some communication issues.
All right.
So I met Armando through work.
Okay.
So he was in my workplace and I had to train him on the area that I was working in. And
so you had to train him?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was a manager, so I dealt with all the cash and the reconciliation of like the money and stuff. So he had to learn that area. So yeah, and then we just got talking from there, isn't it?
Yeah, so obviously, you develop relationships with everyone at work, isn't it? You start talking, how are you, how's things? And she trained me for about a couple of times, and then we go talking.
But I noticed something different about him. He wasn't like the rest of the guys there. So they would talk really bad about women and make these jokes and stuff, but he wouldn't join in. He'd be separate, he wouldn't swear. So I noticed something different about him.
Points for you, Armando.
Yes, kudos for you. So, and then how long did you date? How long was the dating period?
I think it was about 6 months.
Yeah, about 7 or 8 months.
7, 8 months, but yeah.
So, and then eventually you got married?
Yeah.
And then, so after you got married,
so when we got married,
went from there?
Yeah, so the first, it was a bit tricky the first 2 or 3 years. Obviously, we come from different backgrounds, and I thought that because we spoke the same language, obviously I understood her. I thought that's the only language that I need, you know. But after we got married, I realized actually just speaking English wasn't enough. You know, you need to understand, because there's many ways for you to communicate. Sometimes you say things, you mean something completely different. So we struggle to understand each other for quite a bit. And being from different cultures as well, I would say one thing, she understood something completely different. And you know, myself, I have a habit of speaking with my hands all the time and moving about, whereas she was a bit more calm, and sometimes she think I'm agitated. Actually, I'm not. I was just happy. But if something's wrong with me, and, you know. So we had to learn that about each other, you know, and it took 2 or 3 years.
So when you say about the language, it's because both of you speak English, but English is not your mother language, right?
Exactly, yeah.
It's Portuguese.
It's Portuguese, yeah.
Right? And,
and I thought that just because I understood her, that was enough, you know. But actually, day to day, as we came to see that actually that sometimes is not enough, because there's other ways that and certain things you want to say that just speaking the language is not enough, you know, especially when you're a couple, because then you get to know the person and you get to see the person for what they are, you know, and you need to learn to communicate.
Was that ever an issue during the dating period? The language
barrier,
barrier, if I could say that?
Not really.
No, really, no. I think it was
So
wrong.
no indication that it could be a problem in the future.
even at work, when you're training him, was there any issue then?
No, nothing. We talk really well.
Yeah.
So then perhaps it was more than just the language, we could say, right? Trying to make each other, you know, understandable. And so what was the issue beyond the language? What else you guys had issues communicating there?
What are the issues in terms of communication? I think it was sometimes would be the case where I might ask her for something and she probably thinks it's something completely different. You know, we know that men and women are different anyway in the way that they think, the way they say things. And, you know, there was this episode where, you know, I think you're cooking something and she would ask me, oh, do you like this or do you like that? And I probably would say, yes, I like that, but actually I meant it in a completely different way, and she understood something completely different. I'll be like, maybe she should have said it in Portuguese, but then she doesn't understand Portuguese. How can I make her understand me? Then she'll be upset because maybe I didn't communicate that properly, what I was trying to say. So it was hard in the beginning.
I think sometimes as well in the beginning, maybe for me personally as well, you jump to conclusions. So he would say one thing, but then when you try and overanalyze it, you start getting, then it goes to another thought, and then it's completely different. So.
One thing that at least in our marriage in the beginning, because you have so many emotions going on, you know, sometimes when you argue or you have a problem, it is hard. And our first language is not English, so at home, of course, we speak our first language. Even though we speak the same language, it's hard to translate how you feel into words. I used to find that very hard in the beginning, that I would say one thing and he would understand something completely different, and that's not what I meant at all. And now there's an argument, and we speak the same language. So I can only imagine for you how it was to translate what you're feeling into a different language that she could understand.
Yeah, that's even more. Yeah, it was hard in that sense, especially when then you are around family. So, for instance, you know, we'll travel to Portugal for holiday, and then we'll have my sisters, my mom, and all of us will be talking. We'll be talking quite loud because it's just the way it comes out naturally. You know, for us we didn't sound loud, but for her she was like, "What happened? Did someone die or something? You guys arguing in here and all of that." So I have to explain to her, no, it's just the way that we're talking. Then I had to adjust a little bit, you know, so that she wouldn't be thinking that something is wrong and all of that. So
and the level of frustration, obviously, with time, how was it? Because not being able to be understood, or, you know, trying to get something across. I know now we laugh at it. It sounds funny, right? The viewers will probably laugh at it, but we know how frustrated it gets, because, you know, the two of you now, you need to make that work. It's a family that you're starting, the two of you, right? So the level of frustration, how was it, Andre?
It was frustrating. I think in the beginning I would be more quiet and I'd just go and I was like, wow, okay, I'll try and work out maybe what I did wrong, or try and think of what he really meant.
So you started thinking that you were doing something wrong then?
Yeah.
So it wasn't that, but you started thinking that way, as you said, one thought brought another, right?
I thought maybe I'm not doing something right, or I would and then that would make me go even more quiet. But I think, like now, it's better just to say where you're coming from, your point of view, and then it's like to fully express yourself, and then he will say what he thinks, just so we know, and then we can work on a compromise or say, yeah, that's a good idea, let's do it this way, or yes, I know what you mean. So
your reaction would be to go quiet.
Yeah.
What would be your reaction when you?
I would hate it. I would hate it because I'm trying to talk, she goes quiet, and then you talk more, but actually thinking maybe I'm making it worse because by talking more, I was trying to express myself, she didn't get it. It made me really mad, and I don't know. I think it just sounded like I was shouting all the time every time I talked, but I don't think I was shouting. I was just talking,
Was there a point in which it was really bad, or an incident that happened, or a period that you started perhaps getting tired of that?
I don't think it was anything like that, but I think it was more a case of us, with time, we started to learn how to better communicate and how. So, for instance, when I used to talk, I'll look for clues in her, from her body language, to see if I'm on the right track, the way I'm saying that she's understanding me or not. As opposed to the beginning, I would just talk. And sometimes she'll go quiet. And maybe I thought she understood me, but she didn't understand.
But it's the same as well. So it's like when you come home and it's busy, and I know already the same from his body language if he's quiet or if he goes straight. So I will just leave him. It doesn't mean that he's upset or he's grumpy or no, he just needs that moment, and so it's not jumping to the conclusion straight away.
Were there facial expressions back then? Because when facial expressions are part of communication, and sometimes you're trying to convey a message, and you look at the face of your partner is making faces.
Or they say one thing, but their face says something.
Either the one who is listening makes faces, or the one who is speaking, as she said, is saying one thing, but probably meaning something else.
I don't know. I think my face would be more, isn't it? I don't agree, and I'm trying to process it in my head.
Yeah, because I would, naturally in our relationship, I tend to speak more. She's a bit more quiet. Because I was the one talking, she'll be quiet, and then she'll make all these faces, and it will really frustrate me. I'm thinking. And then you think, what do I say? If I keep talking, make it worse. If I don't say anything, then it's going to make it, you just don't know what to do next, isn't it?
One thing that I'm really curious about, because we had communication problems in the beginning, as it's very common for couples. How did you resolve the issues? Because if in any issue you had, you tend to speak and she tend to be quiet. How did you ever solve any problems? How did that end?
Back then.
Yeah,
today,
back then.
Perhaps I believe it's much better, but then.
I think I had to adjust. That's why I see it. I had to adjust, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's looking at me because actually, no, you have to think now. When was that time in period that happened? But
I think, I would learn not to just jump to the wrong conclusion straight away, or try and understand where he would come from. So his point of view, I think, I think we just learned with time, because sometimes you can talk without saying anything. And eventually she got, and so for instance, even now, I tend to speak more than her, but then slowly I'll choose my time when to speak as well. I won't just come in.
It's interesting that when you were dating, or perhaps even the time you worked together, do you still work together?
No.
Well, back then, it seemed like you're teaching him, right? As you said, or I don't know, working together. And it seemed like you guys were able to understand each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the things we even tell people about relationships, that when we work, when we are in a business or in a workplace, we tend to overlook certain things, small things, so we can get through the day. Because at the end of the day, all you want to do is to go home and rest for the next day. So you work with a bunch of people who you're not related to, you don't love them, maybe you like them or appreciate what they do, or simply they're just co-workers, you just consider them co-workers. And yet you are able to communicate. However, when it comes to relationships, to like Armando and Andrea, it seems like now we're having issues communicating, because we see that emotions are involved, feelings are involved, and perhaps this was one of the main issues. You know, emotions were a bit higher because now you're no longer just co-workers, but husband and wife.
Yeah. And funny enough, once we got married, then I got transferred to another branch. So then we're not even working in the same place anyway.
But you already married back then?
Yeah. So after 3 or 4 months, I got married, isn't it? We got married. Then I moved to a completely different branch. But and you're right. You know, sometimes it's that once you get feelings mixed up with it, it goes all over the place when it comes to communication. But at work, obviously, you know, I was there. I had to learn how to do something because you're showing me. Understood her perfectly. She understood me perfectly.
Well, we're going to go into a break right now, and after the break, you're going to tell us more in details how you made it work, lessons you learned, things you went through to make it work. How long have you been married now?
14 years.
14 years. That's good. So then after the break, you let us know. Okay. So we're going to go into a short break, and when we return, we'll hear more from Armando and Andrea. Stay with us. Hi YouTube. Did you know that we hold a seminar called Love Talk Live every Thursday, 8 p.m.? That's right, at the address below that you can see, and it's completely free.
And there we talk about similar topics of the ones we talk about here on Love Talk Show. You can get in touch with us by emailing us questions@lovetalkshow.tv or through our Facebook page, Love Talk Show.
That's right.
We'll see you there.
And we are back with the Love Talk, and today's topic is my partner does not understand me.
How sad.
As you were said in the beginning for Armando and Andrea, right? But I believe today things are completely different.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So and then, few issues in the beginning, communication wasn't there. Some of our viewers saw before the break. And then, how did you fix that?
Yeah, so I was just thinking here as well in the beginning of our marriage as well. I was trying very hard to change her because I thought if I can just make a mini version of me, maybe then the communication will be better.
Really?
You know, But I actually had the opposite effect because obviously she was by nature very quiet.
And how did you try that? What was your strategy?
So I would try to make her talk more. You know, especially more when we will have those arguments, not when everything was going all right, more because when we couldn't communicate and I would talk, she would just shut down. And I wanted her, why don't you talk? Why can't you be like me? Let's talk. By talking, we were going to resolve things. And I was just going on and on and on like, you know, I would never stop. And then she would just go quiet, you know, because maybe for her that's how she is or maybe how she knew at the time.
I think because of maybe the way it would come across, I would be more afraid to say my opinion.
Why?
Because I wanted my marriage to go well and I wanted to do the right thing, but I don't think I necessarily knew what that was. And I just wanted, like, not that we weren't happy, but I just wanted it to go well and not have the arguments or, you know, understand where he was coming from. But now I do understand where he was coming from on some things, like he wanted to change, but we have to focus on ourselves first.
Due to the way he spoke back then, did you feel somehow intimidated, perhaps, to voice your opinion?
So, yeah, because I would feel afraid, thinking, oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or maybe this isn't right, but I didn't necessarily know what the right thing to do was, or I didn't know that, or consider my opinion important as well. But I think both of our opinions are important because then we're making our own culture, isn't it? It's like his background, then my background, and then we make our own family or our own values and ways. So, yeah.
And this is something I would like to highlight because Armando said something very interesting, trying to make the other person a mini version of yourself. Yeah. There are many people who do that. Many spouses, they do that. You know, perhaps he was getting frustrated with the fact that she wasn't corresponding the way he wanted. And the solution, I want her to be like me. You know, we're not meeting halfway. So then maybe if she becomes more like me or she acts more like me, we will understand each other, which is not the way to go.
Definitely not the way to go. many people, even people who come to talk to us, they make the mistake of, when they're dating, they see something that they don't really like. For example, I'm sure, Amanda, you, when you're dating, you noticed that she was quiet, much more quiet than you. Yeah. And you probably thought, it's okay, it's cute. And after you get married, I can change. People think that a lot. I don't know why, but they think that there's some magic formula that once you get married, whatever it is that you don't like, you can make it disappear. You can make it change, and that causes a lot of frustration in couples.
Yes, because it's not about changing the other person. It's about, understanding, knowing that you're marrying someone completely different. You may agree upon certain things, you may like certain things, the same things, but at the end of the day, you're still different. And how do you make that work? Communication. You have to learn how to communicate. Because in order to communicate, you need to understand. It's part of understanding, talking, analyzing, listening. It's like running a business, per se, right?
Yeah. One thing that I'm very curious, based on what you just said, you said you didn't know if you were doing something wrong. But then you say Armando used to talk a lot. Wasn't he clear? Like, you didn't know if you were doing something wrong, if this is what you're supposed to do. Why was that? Was it because he wasn't clear on what he wanted things?
I think he was clear, but maybe just having been the role as a wife, I think I didn't know if that was right or not, or obviously there's not like a rule book, but I just wanted it to go well.
That many people do that too. Although they speak, sometimes they can't put across what they want. It's what I was saying in the beginning. I would say one thing, he would understand something else. That was probably because I wasn't saying it the right way, or I was saying it very emotionally, but that happens a lot.
Because it wasn't just about you not understanding, it was about you also conveying what you wanted to say, right? So. Yeah. And I believe that's where you guys started, working on so the relationship could improve. So how did then it start to change?
So it started to change when I decided to remove the emotion from the conversation, because...
Do you think now that looking back, you were a bit emotional or over the top?
Yes.
Kind of guy? Yes?
Yes.
In which ways?
A lot. Because I realized that actually I was the one more frustrated than her. And I'm the one who wanted to change her. That's when I realized, in a minute, the one wrong is me, because I'm the one always coming up with all this, can't communicate, can't talk, can't understand. So I thought, hang on a minute, something here is not right. And that's when I said, I'm going to remove the emotion and I need to adjust. And I started to talk more a bit like her. So I would call her. I wouldn't because I realized one thing is that I could maybe speak the way that I was speaking maybe with my family. Because for them it would be normal. I probably wouldn't speak as quiet with them, because they'd be thinking, are you sick or something wrong with you? But with her, I realized I have to adjust. So I would call her and then I would speak slow. And I'll ask her a question, so to just remove all the emotions, she doesn't think that there's something wrong, because then I started to realize what the trigger points were. Once I started to adjust, then, she started to open up more, she started to talk more, and the communication started to flow, things started to change. But I had to remove the emotion from the from the communication, isn't it? So we can understand, because then we started to see that sometimes I would say something, and for some reason I just thought she wouldn't, and she would just understand. I just thought, I know there's a magic wand. I'll just say it. She'll get it. But actually, no, it doesn't work like that. She won't just get it. So I need to make sure that my message was conveyed in a way that she will actually understand me. And I will ask for clarification. So, did you understand what I said? So actually, no, I didn't. Can you? Then I will repeat it again. Okay, cool.
How about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I think. I would take on board what he said, and then I think I would start to be okay with my opinion or with my view, or understand what he was trying to tell me, and say, okay, but then start being open enough to say, okay, maybe I can change the way that I'm doing things, or maybe this is a better way, or just to understand but not jump to the wrong conclusions, just to take it how it is.
which also means to remove the emotions.
Yeah.
The fear, maybe.
Yeah.
You remove that and started thinking, okay. And you see, when we do that, we solve many problems.
Yeah. We can clearly see still today that, you know, there is a difference there, the way you speak, the way you react to certain things. So it doesn't mean people like that can't be together, right? It's just knowing how to communicate, knowing how to respect each other, because we can clearly see that you're a little bit more quiet, laid back, you speak slowly. He's narrating a horse race or something like that. But that's okay. This is who we are. Now, coming to a relationship and expecting the other to be like you, there's going to be friction there. Yeah. And when you try to talk, it's not going to work. And that's what was happening to the two of you, right?
Yeah.
And it causes frustration, disappointment. You shut down, or you get upset, you don't want to talk. And the other starts thinking, what's going on? What's she thinking? What is he trying to say? So it can raise a lot of issues there, right? But you eventually made it work, right?
Yeah, we did, because, you know, there was one day I thought to myself, hang on a minute, what attracted me to her in the first place was the fact that she was quiet. Mm-hmm. So why am I trying to change her for? It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. You know, if anything, I thought, you know, let me learn from her, maybe be more quiet. Maybe I speak too much. Mm-hmm. And then she was a bit too quiet. And I thought, how can I influence her actually to open up a bit more? Mm-hmm. So once I started...
It was the right approach.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So once I started to change my way of thinking and then obviously I managed to influence her.
So how's communication today?
No, it's good. It's wonderful. You know, and especially when you're a couple, you develop your own language and no one else understands. That is the truth, you know. And you know, for instance, when we go to my mom's house, I don't even have to say anything. She can look at my face. She knows exactly what I'm trying to say. And my mom was like, "How do you know he wanted that?" But when you're a couple, you just know, because there is that language, you know, that communication.
So you speak without sometimes words opening your mouth, right? Yeah. So do you speak a little Portuguese today?
A little bit.
So it makes it easier then.
Pouquinho.
Good. So thank you very much for your presence, for your story. Okay, we are glad to have you here in the program, and we believe that this has helped a lot of couples out there. We're having communication issues. Thank you very much. Right.
One thing that I really like about the approach they had, changing the situation, was that Armando said, you know, I have to adjust, and many couples they don't succeed at being together. And if they stay together, it's not good, because they have that mindset. This is the way that I am. I talk a lot. You know, I like to converse. I like to put forth arguments. This is the way I am. So if she wants to be with me, then she has to learn to speak like me, or to speak more. You know, it's her problem, not mine. And that's when it doesn't work. But he said, you know what? She's very quiet. Let me adjust. Maybe speak slower, lower, and then you see he did that. She started
because it's all about the communication, getting your message across. If you want to maintain that relationship healthy, make it successful, you're gonna have to somehow make it work. So when he realized that he had to slow down the way he spoke, listen a bit more, give her time, she also understood. Okay, wait a minute. Perhaps I need to, you know, come out of this bubble a little bit more and then speak and not be so quiet. They made things work. So we see once again that communication is key, right? It's essential. How can you make a business successful? How can you make a family successful? How can you survive if you don't know how to communicate in school, at work, church, public places? Communication is key. Much more in a relationship, because you're building a family, and a family starts with a husband and a wife, and then comes the kids, right? Then, if there's no communication between the husband and the wife, how can they communicate with the kids? Even if they talk to the kids,
they will disagree.
They will disagree, sure. And the kids are watching them. They will see that the parents are not having, they are not communicating well. There's a problem there. So you see that it can affect various layers of a person's life. So we see here that communication is paramount. So if you want your relationship to work, whether you are single or married, understanding communication is important. Trying to change your spouse so you can be understood, it doesn't work. Because you're trying to change that person so you can be understood. So that's a little bit of selfishness. Because if I want to change you so you can understand me, I'm not even respecting or considering who you are. So I might as well be alone. And just have friends, not a wife or a husband.
And you probably end up alone because nobody can live like that with a selfish person that only thinks about it. You see, these are things that happen constantly in relationships. That's why some things you have to learn, and communication is one of them. You don't come. Some people are very good at expressing themselves, but that doesn't mean that when it comes to relationships, that they can communicate very well. But this is something that you have to learn. Yes,
and one thing we need to understand, we can't have this thing of, this is who I am. You knew who I was when we first met. This is who I am. I don't talk much, or I talk too much, or I am this aggressive when I speak. No, there must be adjustments, as they said. Armando and Andrea began to adjust. You know, it's interesting to highlight here that while they were dating and the time they were just co-workers, there was no issue there. But now they were having issues. Okay? What are we going to do to fix this? We can't simply walk away. We have to adjust, because if you don't adjust, then that relationship is doomed to failure. Okay? So we're going to go for a break right now, but before that, we have the 3 most annoying things. That's right. This is a segment in which our guests, they share with us the 3 most annoying things they find about each other. And I'm very curious about Andreas and Armando's. Okay? Let's take a look.
The 3 most annoying things about my husband is, 1, it's very difficult to get his attention when he's on the phone or using the iPad.
She always rushes to the bathroom. Every time I say I'm going to use the bathroom, she rushes to the bathroom.
He always leaves his socks on the floor.
She always overspends. She never sticks to budget, even though she says, yes, I will. She never does.
He is in charge of the remote, so it's always the movies that he wants to watch.
And number 3 is she always trying to get me to multitask, which I can't do. So she always, when I'm doing something, she's always talking to me, and I'm like, what did you say? And I can't do 2 things at the same time, so it's quite annoying.
Hi YouTube, hope you're enjoying watching our show right now.
And just so you know, you also can find us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter on the details below on your screen.
Make sure you follow us on there too to stay up to date.
Hello and welcome back to the Love Talk, and today's topic is My Partner Doesn't Understand Me. And just before the break, we had Armando and Andrea here with us, sharing a little bit of their story, their experience when it comes to communications. We also had the 3 most annoying things from both of them, right? Which is quite annoying when you want to use the, according to Armando, you want to use the bathroom, your spouse says, okay, I'm gonna go first, according to him, because he didn't explain well, but he was telling us here during the break that he was saying she spends the whole day in the house. So when I arrive, then I say I'm gonna go to the bathroom. She goes in first. So anyway, it was quite interesting. In case you missed any of today's segment or previous shows, you want to watch previous shows, we have our YouTube channel, okay, Love Talk, and also our new website or redesigned website, lovetalkshow.tv. You can find all the information you need, read about stories and previous. As a matter of fact, there is even a link to our YouTube channel in the website, okay? lovetalkshow.tv, that's the address of our website.
And the YouTube is Love Talk Show.
Love Talk Show, I forgot about the show, that's right. So, communication, very important. Very, very important. Not only based on Armando's and Andrea's story, but based on what we see when talking to couples, counseling couples, is that communication, most of the times, I would say 9% of the cases, lacks, right? The couple lacks communication. yes, there is an issue, there is a problem. Oh, I know the problem is this or that, he does this, she does that, or he doesn't do this, she doesn't do that, and etc. But it all comes to not knowing how to communicate. And when that happens, one of the problems that we see is what we saw in Amando's and Andrea's story, trying to change your spouse. Because you somehow you feel frustrated that perhaps you're not getting your message across, you're not being understood, and so on and so forth. And you wish your spouse were like you.
A complaint many couples make, or one of them at least makes, is there's no communication. So the marriage ended, or the marriage is ending, or the relationship is over because there is no communication. But people forget that communication is not only about how the other person communicates, but also you. Mm-hmm. This topic, the title of today's show, which is My Partner Doesn't Understand Me, it's a very common feeling. I had it when we were first married. I felt like he didn't understand me. But he didn't understand me because I didn't really communicate efficiently. Mm-hmm. I would say things, and when I was very emotional, I would choose the wrong words. Sometimes, what the problem is also? People talk too much. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound right, but it is. Sometimes you want to be heard. You want your partner to listen to you.
Which was the case with Armando.
Yeah. Yeah.
He talked too much. And Andrea isn't, until today we can see, perhaps she improved a little bit, but she isn't the kind of person who talks too much. Maybe she takes her time and she chooses the right time to speak. But you see, he's very talkative, very outgoing, so on and so forth. So, it's not only women. Sometimes when you mention that people talk too much, many people say women talk too much. Not necessarily, it can go both ways. We know most cases it might be the woman. But yes, knowing also how to communicate, how to speak. If you want your spouse to understand you, then you have to work on your skills of communication skills. Myself, for example, you mentioned your case, I didn't know how to communicate either. Because, I was a bit too aggressive in the way I spoke, or perhaps very, not emotional, but, a bit too harsh.
Too quick.
Too quick, sometimes you assume, I think this is one of the things that Andrea mentioned, you assume certain things about your spouse, just because maybe, for example, in my case, she wouldn't correspond to the way I was talking to her. So I would assume certain things. Or you start thinking certain things about your spouse which is not there, which was also her case. She started thinking, okay, maybe, I'm like this, I'm like that, because she felt that, she was not meeting him halfway. She said, I wanted this relationship to work, I wanted this marriage to work, but I didn't know how to communicate. Going quiet also, just simply shutting down is another way that people choose that's not very profitable. That doesn't bring a lot of good results, because shutting down is also a way that you think you're going to get something across, but you're not, because you need to communicate.
Exactly. And one thing that people, they have problems in communication is because they think they're supposed to know. Either the other person is supposed to know what you're talking about. You're supposed to be good at it. And most of the cases, you're not.
I assume that you are getting everything that I'm saying to you, right? Mm-hmm. But we're different. We're different. We come from, different walks of life, background,
different culture. Ways that you communicated with your family.
So as we could see in their case, Armando is more talkative, to the point where when Andrea witnessed him talking to his mother, she thought they were arguing, right? So there are ways for you to make that work. And the best way is adapting, making it work, understanding your spouse, knowing that you come from, different walks of life, backgrounds, and you're also different. That alone says a lot. You're different. So Don't expect your spouse to simply, figure everything out that you're saying. Make sure that, you improve also in the way to communicate. Knowing how to communicate, learning how to communicate, listening, understanding, giving time to the other to, process the thought. Part of the communication is also listening. It's not only talking. It's important to listen, not only talk.
I think a good rule, a key rule to communication is you have to listen to understand. Mm-hmm. But most people listen to reply.
Yeah.
So they never understand. One thing that Armando said, I found that it's very key. Whenever he spoke, he would say, "Did you understand what I just said?" And I should go, "No." So that's nice because you really want to understand, you really want to communicate and not only speak.
Mm-hmm. So listening is also part of communication. Not only speaking, getting your point across, it's also listening. That's very important, okay? And this is it for today. We'd like to thank Armando and Andrea for being our guests in today's program. And this is it for today. We see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And this is Dear Love Talk time. And we are going to, sorry, let's go again. Any problems or maybe even, get something, now it's me. And this is Dear Love Talk time. We answer to your questions here on, this is not what I want to say.
We shall get there.
We have to record this program in the morning. And this is Dear Love Talk. Hello.
I'm not doing anything.
Welcome back to the Love Talk. And just before the break, we had Armando and Andrea here with us, sharing their story, which was about communication, having issues communicating, right? Look at me, please.
Sorry. Okay, sorry.
Take her out, Carlos, please. Fire her. That people choose, that's not very profitable. That doesn't bring a lot of good results because shutting down is also a way that you think you're going to get something across, but you're not because you need to communicate.
Exactly. And sorry.
What a time to cough, my friend. Oh dear.
Do we have to take it from the top? No, right?
And this is it for today. Thank you for watching us, and until next time, bye-bye.
And you didn't thank the guests again.
I forgot again. And this is what...
I am quietly sitting here.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
I can see you laughing from the corner of my eye.
I'm not laughing.
You're having a laugh
I'm
there.
smiling.
And that's all for today's Love Talk show. Be sure to tune in next week to learn more on how to love intelligently.